Good morning, Outliers. Welcome to today's Outlier Live. We cover the biggest headlines of the day and what the AI trading data has to say about it. So if you're interested in that, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And our top story of the day is the U.S. economy is looking at becoming a banana republic if this one thing happens. Next, our second story of the day is renters are basically coming to the conclusion that they are never going to be homeowners, right? Homeownership is almost off the table for a lot of people these days. And then our last story of the day is Tesla just took down another EV competitor. As a Tesla fanboy, I love to see it when it happens. So tune in for that and more on today's Outlier Live. We are live, so give me 2 seconds here because I got to grab something. There we go. Okay. Pardon me, I wasn't totally prepared. All right. Top story of the day. There we go. Top story of the day. The U.S. economy is at risk of becoming a banana republic if Trump goes to jail. That's according to this ex-White House economist. Kevin Hassett says if Trump goes to Rikers, it'll be one of the largest market impacts we have ever seen. All right, let's take a look at this. I'm super curious at what this person has to say, right? As America's macroeconomic story has slowed quite considerably over the last year, one former White House advisor warns of the big risk to financial stability, right? We've all seen it, right? Everywhere you look, inflation is just basically taking down the economy, but those in charge, they don't want you to think about that. They are saying, stop having such negative feelings. Just go out and buy stuff these days. Quit complaining that everything costs at least 20% more, maybe 50% or 100% more, and just act like everything's okay. I don't think we can do that anymore. But this person's saying that if Trump goes to jail, all hell's going to break loose in the economy. I really think if you look at the case in New York, the judge is being so undemocratic, unconstitutional in his rulings against President Trump, it really looks like there's a conspiracy to put him in jail, to put him behind bars. We've all seen this, right? If Trump goes to jail, is in chains, going to Rikers Island, then would you want to buy, just reloaded, the U.S. Treasury the next day? Probably not. The U.S. GDP is the broadest measure of goods and services. It grew 1.6% on an annualized basis in the 3 months beginning January to March. It marked the slowest pace of growth in 2 years and significantly missed the 2.4% increase forecast by economists and a sharp slowdown from 3.4% seen during the fourth quarter. After posting subpar growth momentum, stock investors went into selling mode as markets reacted to the Dow Jones falling over 375 points. The thing that I'm really worried about short-term risks to the economy is that the Democrats are in serious lawfare. And if they actually succeed, then imagine, it's like we're going to be in a banana republic the moment they take them to Rikers. And I just can't imagine what happens to treasury markets that day. Dude, I think he's got a total point, right? Like, we're all seeing it. We're all seeing how the left-wing establishment is basically saying they're going to do everything possible to take down Trump. But dude just continues to win legal battle after legal battle because they don't have anything to stand on. But the real issue, I think, is exactly what he's saying here. If they can manage to put him in shackles and take him to prison, even just for a day, even for some sort of like just public display of humiliation, that is going to set a huge ripple effect across so many markets, saying, what are you guys doing? Why are you actually acting this way? What in the world are you doing sending a presidential candidate to jail? And it is absolutely reminiscent of a banana republic, of a third world country, right? That's exactly what it looks like to me. Now, whenever I thought about this, or whenever I read the story, my first thought was Banana Republic. I think the Gap owns Banana Republic. Let's take a look at the AI trading data for GPS Gap. And in fact, on today's very day, we got a buy signal on GPS. So GPS, they own Gap, Banana Republic, Old Navy, all those type of not outlet stores, but all those type of stores where my wife loves to go shopping, right? So we did get a buy signal today on that. And we're coming into summer, coming into vacation season, right? I just yesterday spent like $500 on different things that I needed for vacation we have coming up soon. So looking at this, to me, it kind of makes sense that the market is looking at a buy signal here on GPS, because a lot of people are going to be buying a lot of stuff in the near future, and they probably are jacking up prices because of the fact that inflation's running out of control, so they can have even higher revenue. So I am curious to follow that, right? Now, looking at the performance summary here, we can see following these outlier buy and sell signals, a 170.11% return just in the last year, 170.11% return on gap. So gap is pretty outstanding when you look at it at the outlier data. But I want to show you something even more outstanding. I want you to head over to freetradingdata.com, where I have my free pre-market power-up checklist that I want to send to you 100% for free, no questions asked. Go over to freetradingdata.com and I'll send you my pre-market power-up checklist. So let's go see what the internet has to say about this. President Trump makes a statement saying he's willing to go to jail to fight for our Constitution and constitutional right to free speech. We're witnessing history. America is being turned into a banana republic, and this man is risking his life to save our country. I don't know. I mean, like, I just look at everything that's going on these days, and it really makes me wonder, what are they thinking, right? What are they thinking? Why are they trying so hard to put him behind bars? Why? What is going on? Is it that they don't want to lose power? Or is it that he knows something, or he's going to put policies in place that are going to take down everything that we've seen over the last few years, all this unbelievable control that we have seen? This is funny. Well, he lost. Trump lost. LOL. Trump is all in. We need to put our best effort into making sure this election is fair by poll watching and recruiting every single possible voter for our side. I only got into politics right after the 2020 election. Before that, I really couldn't care less. But once I saw all the one thing that got me was I was watching I forget what it was. It was probably Fulton County, Georgia, where all of his legal problems are happening right now. Where they were putting up these blockers basically for the poll workers, right? And there were people just watching them cover the windows so they could do whatever manipulation they were going to do behind the scenes. And from that moment forward, I'm like, this game is so rigged. What is going on here? That was my moment, right? Tell me in the comments what your moment was when you started watching politics, right? That's why we love him. Trump is willing to risk it all for America. And this person says they are so ready for November. Put in the comments down below what you think of this story, because I am very, very curious to hear what you have to say. Renters are fearing that they will never own a home. That's according to a Fed survey. New York Fed data shows most renters in the US have lost hope that they will achieve the American dream. Okay, so this weekend I was actually really excited about something that I happened to oversee on my wife's phone. My wife went to get a tattoo this weekend, and so she and I were hanging out there. She's scrolling on Facebook like she does. I don't scroll on any social media. You will not find me scrolling on any social media, period, full stop. And she must know I'm talking about her because she just texted me. But while she was scrolling, I saw this one person talking about how hard it was to sell their home. And I was like, hold on, let me look at that. Let me take a look at this. And this person, I don't know all the details, but it was probably like I think they were listing their home for like $550,000, not all that big of a home, not all that fancy of a home, but now it's over $500,000 home. And they were talking about how hard it was to find people to buy their home. They said it's been on the market for ages. And I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, this is exactly what I've been saying. This is exactly what I have been following for months, years at this point, right? There is such a slowdown in the economy that those in charge don't want you to know. And one way to see that is by looking in the real estate market, right? Real estate originations have completely crashed. And a lot of that exactly has to do with what the Fed was wanting by raising rates. Now, by raising rates, right, instead of like my house, which I got for like 3.5% on the mortgage, now it's 7% or even higher. The cost to purchase the home on the financing part has doubled. So your mortgage payment, essentially has doubled just from the interest payments. And then the price of homes has doubled nearly over the last few years. So we're now looking at a compounding effect where you may have been able to afford a home 4 years ago, but now post COVID, post rate increases, post inflation, it's impossible. And that's what these renters are saying right here, right? They're never going to own a home. Like to own my home today would cost you 4 times as much per month as what I'm currently paying. I'm not going to be leaving anytime soon. And so this person who I was looking at on my wife's phone was really complaining about the fact that they haven't found anybody to buy a home. And it just makes total sense to me. The only way for you to sell your home is if you cut your rate, which is exactly offsetting inflation. Or I'm sorry, not cut your rate, but cut your price, which is exactly what the Fed was doing by raising rates. They're forcing you to lower your prices. This goes in for autos. This goes in for homes. This goes in for all kinds of stuff that you could be selling. When the financing costs so much more, the only way for you as the seller to sell that item, whatever it is by lowering the price. That is how we fight inflation, by raising rates. Now, at the same point, it also stymies the economy until sellers start pulling it down, right? Because this person at some point is going to come into a dire situation where they're going to be like, I have to sell. My other house is closing, or my cargo ship is moving across the ocean, or whatever the case is. My deadline is here. I have to sell. I am now a very motivated, very dramatic seller. I have to cut as far and wide as I can. And I think we're finally going to start seeing that happen. I think we're finally to the point where where prices are going to start to fall precipitously. Not only are prices going to start to fall, but it makes total sense because if you look out in the economy in general, right, prices have gone up, yet there has been really no price relief from consumers. So they've been just stacking on credit card debt. And now we've reached a point where credit cards are starting to max out. Companies are starting to say, oh, geez, we're not hitting our sales targets. I forget which. It was a fast food restaurant. I forget which one it was, but they completely got their targets just absolutely murdered. I know McDonald's had this happen, but there was another one that just happened recently. McDonald's, for example, expected a 4% increase in sales over the last year, ended up with I believe it was a 6% decline in sales. And you consider the fact that McDonald's has raised prices and they still couldn't even hit the 4%, let's call it inflation adjusted sales increase, means that their total unit sales went down huge, right? If you can't hit your sales increase just from the inflation, that means you really got a 10% drop overall in sales. And man, I tell you what, this is going to start rippling across the economy. I absolutely think that's coming, right? Let's look here. The share of U.S. renters who believe they'll someday own a home has plummeted over the last year. The home affordability crisis continues to make the American dream appear too far out of reach. Now, they're starting rumblings of putting out some sort of legislation where it's going to limit the number of homes that investors can buy, limit the number of homes that institutions can buy, in theory, putting more inventory out into the market, right? Renters' perceptions about the ease of obtaining a home mortgage have deteriorated substantially since 2023. Yeah, I understand completely. The percentage of renters who say that obtaining a mortgage is somewhat or very difficult jumped to 72 or 74.2%. That's an 8 percentage points increase from last year and far above the low of 50% in 2021. Wow, look at that. It's gone up by 50%, right? 50% up to 75 is a 50% increase, right? It has gone up by 50% basically in the last 3 years. That's crazy. The percentage of renters who believe they will eventually become homeowners fell to 40%. Wow. I couldn't imagine what a dire situation that must be in, right? Where you just are coming to the realization that I'm never going to be able to afford a home. I'm just going to rent. I'm just going to throw away $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month in rent forever. And that's never going to go to any sort of capital appreciation. That's never going to go to principal. That's never going to go anywhere up except to your landlord. All right. That's a really dire situation. Now let's take a look at DHI. So DHI is the home builder, DR Horton. And I think a stock like this could really be hurting lately because if less people are deciding that they're never even going to buy a home, then why would they even go out and start talking to places like DR Horton? But surprisingly, we do have a buy signal on DR Horton. That buy signal came on March 25th. And following these signal returns, we could have seen a 106.2% return following the outlier buy and sell signals. So, we got a buy signal lately, and a lot of people are still saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be in the buyer's market. So I don't know who's buying these homes or who's buying the stock to go along with this, but I will say right now that if I were in the market to buy a home, I don't know if I'd be able to buy. I certainly wouldn't be able to buy the home I have now, and I think that that is definitely going to start hurting the company DR Horton, right? Hey, real quick, whenever I look to buy a stock, I have a few simple criteria that I follow, including the buy and sell signals here in Outlier, but I also have a lot of other things, right? And I want to send you my bullish power cheat sheet. And on the bullish power cheat sheet, it outlines every single thing that I need to see to know that a stock is showing significant amounts of bullish power. You can grab your own copy of that at bullishpower.com. So let's go see what the internet has to say about this story. Nearly 40% of U.S. renters don't believe they'll ever own a home. That's up from 27% last year. That's so crazy. I mean, who wants to buy an 1,800 square foot condo for $900,000 with an 8% interest rate? Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Here's an ad from Robert F. Kennedy. The dream of home ownership is slipping away for many Americans with high mortgage rates, rising prices, and stagnant income. He's saying corporations could own 40% of single family homes by 2030. And as president, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. This person says, can't wait to tell my grandkids about the good old days of renting forever. Oh, that's brutal. You'll own nothing and be happy, just like they planned it. I think we've all seen this playing out the last few years, and it's really, really sick. Well, Tesla did it again. Tesla killed another company. And yes, I see all your comments. So I'm going to go ahead and address them right now. I am a Tesla fanboy. I'm a Tesla stan, Elon stan, whatever. I simp for Elon, all that great stuff out there, right? Yeah, Tesla fanboy. Right. Go ahead and drop your comments in the video below, right? Mercedes-Benz CEO says automaker will continue to make gas-powered vehicles for years longer than planned because they can't compete with Tesla, right? I mean, please leave your comments down below about how much of a Tesla fanboy I am and how Tesla sucks and everything else. But really, honestly, why? Why do you have that opinion? That's what I want to see in the comments. Tell me why you have this opinion. Or is it just the fact that you have been brainwashed? You are wanting to live in the past, while Tesla fanboys like myself are living in the future, right? Yes, I am engagement baiting you so hard right now. Mercedes-Benz reiterated this week that it will continue to produce gas-powered vehicles well into the next decade, acknowledging its goal for producing nothing but electric vehicles is not going as the company had hoped, amid a decline in profits. We want a CO2 neutral fleet by 2039, says the CEO. And he's prepared to make remarks to shareholders at the next meeting. However, the transformation might take longer than expected. Mercedes is going to stick with making both EVs and regular cars, combustion engines, if the demand is there into the 2030s. The speech came as the car maker reported a 30% drop in first quarter earnings compared with the estimate there that somebody had put out. This is the second time this year Mercedes has backtracked on all of its EV ambitions after previously setting a goal for EVs to make up all of its sales by 2030. S-Type says people don't have the money. They don't have the money for a Tesla. I get it, right? I get it. Oh, speaking of side tangent, right? I just told you a story about how my wife was getting a tattoo this weekend, and we were driving over there in my Tesla, and I parked in the parking lot there, and it's a sketchy ass neighborhood. And I looked at my wife and I said, I wish we hadn't driven my car. And I said, well, I don't think I would have driven your car here either, because she has a nice Lexus SUV. And I was like, I think we just need to get this and get the hell out of here. This person says inflation and taxes and spending money for wars and AI layoffs are pinning due to migrants. Oh, I don't know about that. But I appreciate you dropping your comments there. The company announced February it will not meet its 2025 deadline to have EVs, including hybrids, make up 50% of sales. Lackluster demand for EVs has delayed that goal until at least 2030. I was driving down the highway this weekend, and I was thinking about this, right? Because it was raining here in Texas. And one thing that Elon talks a lot about is the fact that EV cars are so much safer than gas cars because with the motor right there on the wheel, it can do all kinds of really fancy um, traction control, stability control, safety factors right there at the wheel instantly. And how with the gas car, right? You let your foot off the accelerator, there's a lag, right? If there is going to be some sort of stability control, it's just touching the brakes. However, the EV cars, the way that they work, can do so much more instantly. So I got to thinking to myself, what if a hybrid is not necessarily a gas powered car with a battery, but rather a electric car with a generator, right? Because if it's an electric car with a generator, you still get all the benefits of an electric car, but then you can just fill it up within a couple of minutes, and that generator continues to produce the power needed to power the electric motors and the battery. And you can still plug it in, right? You don't actually have to ever put in gas, but you could if you were pinched for time, or if you're taking a huge road trip, you can just roll up, hit your gas, and keep going. I don't know. That's just an idea that I thought of, right? Why not make hybrids that are just generators on wheels for the electric cars? Let's see. The Mercedes CEO previously warned late last year that even in Europe, sales would not likely be all electric by 2030. That's so interesting because Stellantis actually just turned a profit on their EVs, right? I was looking at this. My first thought when I saw the story is, isn't Mercedes and Chrysler still working together? But that was ages ago. Clearly, I am out of the loop on that. But the electric vehicles are finally turning a profit for Stellantis. And so that just came out a couple of months ago in February. So I'm very curious to see if Stellantis is adopting some of the manufacturing technologies and efficiencies that Tesla has, whereas Mercedes is still stuck in the past so much, making their dinosaur cars. That's what I call the non-EVs, making their dinosaur cars, that they haven't figured out a way to turn profit. But if Stellantis has, surely Mercedes can, right? So speaking of Stellantis, let's go look at the AI trading data for them, right? We got a sell signal on Stellantis. Let me zoom in here. We got a sell signal on Stellantis February 29th. And if you can see here on the chart, right, it started at around 26 bucks a share and it's down at $21 a share right now. So it's come down, what is that, like 20% or so, maybe 25% from that sell signal. Super timely sell signal there. And in fact, let's take a look at the AI trading data. We show outliers showing 105.25% return, which is pretty outstanding in my opinion. Now, listen, a lot of people want to trade stocks and they don't know where to start, right? And that's why I have actually created my golden ticket AI stock trading system, right? I'm going to send you a free copy of it if you just go over to turntradesIntoProfits.com. You can get a copy, everything you're going to need to know about my golden ticket AI stock trading system. And it includes a lot of what you see on the screen and what I talk about every single day. So head on over to turntradesIntoProfits.com right now to get your copy of the golden ticket AI stock trading system. So looking at this, what the internet has to say, Mercedes-Benz to remove their 2030 EV only target as EV sales drop worldwide. Gas guzzlers continue to be the hottest sellers. All right, y'all ready? Are you ready? Because Twitter doesn't hold back, right? I am very excited to see, as a Tesla fanboy, just how awful this is going to get. Just bought my daughter a new AMG GLE 53. Sebastian, you let your own daughter, you tell your daughter to buy her own AMG GLE 53, right? I don't care what anyone says. This is one beaut and a beautiful SUV. Yeah, okay. Go ahead and flaunt your wealth, Sebastian. I just bought a Mercedes, a GME GLE 5387 for my daughter. It was only $413,000. Oh, I can afford it. Right. EV price point is still trending down. Some time needed before the market shift. This person's laughing. Let's see more replies here. Meanwhile, GM is doing this in Kansas City. GM's Fairfax plant will end Malibu production after retooling, then start making an EV. Oh, interesting. The market of early adopters is becoming saturated. That I agree with. The market of early adopters is becoming saturated. If you're buying an electric car so you can save money on gas, you probably shouldn't be buying a car in the first place. I don't know. It cost me like $8, literally $8 in electricity to fill up my Tesla. So I think I am saving quite a lot whenever I go fill up my wife's car, and it costs about $80 in premium. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today's Outlier Live. Above, YouTube is showing you 2 videos that it thinks you're going to like. So follow the YouTube algorithm's advice and click one of these, and I'll see you on the next episode. Talk soon.